welcome to another episode of Motors for the Masses, and we are here today in Norwich at Cooper Mini. When you hear the word Mini, you think small car. Well, Mini's not small anymore. In fact, Malcolm refers to it as the large. I suppose it is a bit of a maxi than a Mini now. It has been reinvented by BMW in 2001, so the small Mini became bigger. And in 2014, it was reinvented again. And now we have the Mini that is 98mm longer, 44mm wider and 7mm taller than its outgoing model. It also has a 28mm longer wheelbase, so overall the car is bigger than the outgoing model. And today we are looking at two particular Minis. You've got in the range the 3-door, the 5-door, the Clubman, the Paceman, which isn't made anymore, the convertible and the Countryman. Well, we are looking at one from that end and one from that end. We are going to pitch the 3-door Mini against the Countryman Mini, and we're going to answer one very important question. Is the Countryman actually bigger than the 3-door? Now, with the basic Mini 1 starting at £14,620, it has a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder engine producing 101 brake horsepower and 132 pounds-foot of torque. That means it also produces 109 CO2s and a 0 to 60 time of 9.9 seconds, which is not bad for a small engined car. However, this particular car is the Cooper S, and this one has 189 brake horsepower and 206 pounds-foot of torque, which means it has a 0 to 60 time of 6.8 seconds. And where does that power come from? Well, Mini have gone from a 1.6 litre engine to a 2 litre 4-cylinder engine. There is a downside to this, and that is that it produces 134 CO2s, but that's still not bad for such a big engined car. Now, prices for the Cooper S start at £19,555, but it's very easy to get carried away with the options, and you could end up spending £10,000 or £11,000 on top of that to fully spec out this car. Inside, it's all very Mini, with one very big change. The speedo is no longer in the centre of the dashboard. It's behind the steering wheel where it's supposed to be. And instead, this centre console houses the sat-nav and the stereo and the infotainment system. Infotainment, entertainment, that kind of system. In fact, the whole car is a lot better designed. And what I mean by that is that now you have more of a centre console, whereas in the older BMW Mini, you just had the 2 pods here and the pod for the gear stick, whereas now it's more of a console, especially as it houses this BMW iDrive system, which kind of makes it more BMW, less Mini. And where the toggle switches remain, they're now part of this dashboard and not a separate pod stuck to the dash, so it feels much better quality than the older Mini, which felt a little bit cheap, although very full of character and very in keeping with the older style 60s Mini. And of course, the biggest change is that now you don't need a key to start the car, you just have this start button. or stop button. And I absolutely love this speedo meets rev counter arrangement. That is fantastic and very sporty. The infotainment system houses everything, and when I say everything, you can plug your telephone in there, you've got the sat nav, you've got the radio, you've got the media package and all the options for the car. So it's like the BMW, you have the little wheel and you move up and down what you want, vehicle information. You've even got the owner's manual on here and the trip computer and everything you could possibly want about the car. You can even search through little bits of the car and click on what's inside, like here. Everything you need to know about the engine. Now, you probably don't need to know half this information, but it's just a nice little touch that they've added. And what you may have noticed is this ring round here. Now, this changes colour with the mood of the car, and it changes with how you rev the car. But also you can change the colour yourself with the toggle switch up here to a variety of different colours, from masculine, feminine, or neutral. It's just another little touch. They have this inside the door handles as well, and it's just something that's very unique and very cool. I really like that. Well, if you remember back at the beginning, we started this video with a question as to how this three-door car compares to the Countryman in regards to size inside. Well, let's have a look in the back and in the boot and see if we can put some perspective on that. Well, to get inside the back of the car, you've got a handle here or a handle down the side, and all you do is lift it up and push it forward. To get in, it's not too bad. It's certainly better than the older Mini. Now, in the back here, it may look very small through this gap, but I've got a good 4 or 5 inches space between my knees and the back of this seat. And if I was to shuffle across to the driver's side where I would have the seat, it's a little bit more tricky. But I'm in. Now my knees are touching the back of the seat, but inside it's still very comfortable. And I've got this much space between my head and the roof, and I'm 5'11". It's very comfortable in the back here, albeit quite snug. Of course, it's only a 4-seater, so you're not really going to get anybody in the middle because of this little bolster. But I've got a good view out the side window, and I think I could probably go on a journey in here. Now, getting out might be a different story. Again, I can just pull this lever and push it forward and climb out. Oh. But it's not as easy as getting in. Now, in the boot, it's still a small boot, but it is slightly bigger than the older car. Now, there is a good feature in here, is that you can get rid of this shelf, lift this up to show you a bigger, deeper boot, and this will come out, slot in there like so, and then this can go in like that, and you've got a flat loading bay. Then lift these up, push that forward, and you've got a completely flat boot. Comes with 2 different wheel options. You've either got 17-inch or 18-inch upgrades. This one has the 17-inch wheels with 205 Michelin rubber. So what's it like to drive? Well, let's find out. Inside the car behind the wheel, you do get a little bit of road noise because it's got stiffer suspension and lower profile tyres, but it rides very comfortably. You do feel a lot of the bumps, but you expect that from a car that's sporty. Now, being the Cooper S model with the automatic gearbox, it is very spry, but also you've got the flappy paddle gearbox if you need it. And we will check that out right now. So, over to manual. Nice. Picks up really smoothly.
It's pretty swift.
Pretty quickly. You don't actually know you're doing 70 before you hit 70. But it gets there pretty quickly indeed. 6.8 seconds to be precise.
So as a passenger in this car, you've got plenty of space, loads of elbow room, and I can wave around, you know, armpit smell, brilliant. But no, it's all good, loads of room. It's just a nice place to be. The seats are quite firm, but you've got a good bolster on there, it's, you know, holds you in place. It's nice. It's good visibility out of the car. It's good.
We are finding that we are having to talk a little bit louder than we usually would, and that is because of that road noise. Now we're only doing 60 miles an hour, and I can hear it quite a lot.
It is loud.
Visibility wise, it's pretty good. You've got a nice clear space in front of you, but this pillar does feel as though it's quite in your eye line.
It's really intrusive, isn't it?
It is quite intrusive, but you've got a great view out of these side mirrors, and the rear view mirror is tiny, but you don't need to see a great deal, to be honest.
It's only a tiny back window.
And let's be honest, being in a Cooper S, most of the stuff's going to be behind you anyway, disappearing, so it's going to get smaller in that mirror.
Oh.
One thing that does annoy me, which I'm sure you can turn off, is this start-stop. And there we go.
It's off.
It's off. Because I can't stand that start-stop technology. Drives me insane. Now what you do have on the center console is an option called driving excitement, or as Malcolm calls it,
The funometer.
and it is. You basically, it tells you how much power you are putting down and how much G and torque and kilowatts and all that gubbins.
Yeah, this particular one's kilowatts and torque.
It's great.
But it's just little needles flapping up and down, which we'll show you in a moment.
It doesn't actually mean very much to a lot of drivers. It's just, it makes you go, ooh, I'm doing 80 worths of things.
Excitement, that's how much excitement we're having.
80 excitements. Yes. But what you do notice is when you pull away, it goes, right, let's go. It really does give you a lot of power. Now down here, you have a ring round the gear knob. That's the one. Green. Or sport. Now you push and hold it into sport, and the little ring round here goes bright red and starts flashing.
Let's put a little go-kart on the screen.
And a picture of a go-kart on the screen. So when you put your foot down,
wow,
that happens.
And the phonometer goes up higher.
It does. Phonometer goes maximum. Is that you sit quietly at the side of the road thinking, I'm going to turn round and put my foot down. So you gently put the indicator on, nothing's coming, you turn round very casually, la la la, la 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 la, la 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 la, foot down! So of course we need to test that one more time, so we'll just indicate out of this gentle junction and go!
Oh, it did well keeping that in line.
It did. I tell you what, the handling is superb. You plant it and the electronics go, you're not going to kill yourself today! And it really does sort it out very nicely. It's a very nimble car, and it's a wet day, and the handling is fantastic.
It does handle real well.
It really does. I mean, we're coming up to a corner now, we're doing 35 miles an hour, and we just go round it. No problem whatsoever. I am extremely impressed with the power and the handling of this car.
It's how it delivers that power. It does it really well.
It really does do it well.
There's no turbo lag as far as I can tell.
So that brings us on to the Countryman, and the big question is it bigger, or is all this just an illusion? It is taller, and we'll come on to how much taller in a little while, but overall it's a much bigger SUV looking car, and it's nothing like the 3-door. It's got a similar back end at the top, but other than that everything is much chunkier and much deeper and a completely different angle. I quite like the way this sort of angles around here on the front wing, sort of goes on from this headlight, and you've got the same arrangement here. You've got a line that goes across here. I guess it breaks up the, let's be honest, ugliness of those back lights. But what's it like inside? Inside the car, it is very familiar looking, but it's certainly not the same size, and everything is much bigger. Headroom, seats, now they are a similar style, but they just feel a lot more comfortable. And the steering wheel obviously is height adjustable. Depends where you want to sit and whether you can see the heads-up display, which they have in this particular car. But everything just feels grander. Now, one thing I don't really like is this window ledge. Now, I can pump the seat up, but I don't really want to be sitting this high just to make my elbow and my shoulder comfortable. Other than that, inside here you've got the same speedo and rev counter arrangement, same multifunction steering wheel with the flappy paddle gearbox that you had in the petrol version, but of course this one's diesel. That does mean you lose out on a bit of power. How much exactly? Well, this one, being the 2-litre diesel, has 140 brake horsepower. If it was the 1.6 or the petrol version, that would have 187 brake horsepower or 186 brake horsepower, the same as the 3-door. But we don't have that one. However, that's not the focus of this video. This video is all about size and whether this is grander, and I can answer that question right now. In here, yes, it does feel bigger. However, is it bigger in there and back there? Let's have a look. Of course it is. It's certainly a lot easier to get in having the big doors, but inside here there's so much more room for adults. Now, I'm sitting very comfortably. This is where the seat would be if I am driving. And look how much knee space I've got. And look how much headroom space I've got. I've got this much headroom. This much knee space. It's fantastic in here, and it's very comfortable. Like the 3-door, you've got the ISOFIX in the back here. But unlike the 3-door, you've got a seat in the middle. Now, if I sit in the middle, I don't feel as though I'm sitting on a hump in the middle of 2 seats. I do feel as though I could quite comfortably sit here for a longer journey than 5 minutes. I would prefer this side because obviously these seats are more comfortable, but in the middle here it's actually not bad at all. In the back here, it's another success story. Of course the boot's going to be bigger because the car is bigger. It's a bit of a stupid question really. Again, low loading, but in here, again, another optional extra that you do have to pay for. But this has a protector. So if you've got a dog or if you want to load stuff in the car, just lay this over and you haven't got to worry about scratching your bumper or this plate on here. And another feature, of course, if you lift it up, more storage space back here, but also it's electric. In actual fact, thinking about it, it's not just for dogs. This is for humans to sit on. Change your wellies and off you go down a country track. It's soft actually. Could do some filming like this. Now, on a more practical side, this has not got the traditional 60-40 split. This one has a 40-20-40. Now, of course, you can remove this. Unlike the other one, it does go underneath here. No, it doesn't. Like the other one, it just lays in the top here. Anyway, you can just throw this away. The seats will fold flat, but you can't do it from back here. You actually have to go round to the passenger side or the driver's side rear and pull the lever inside and knock them down. Pull the lever inside and knock it down, and the same with this one. It doesn't lay completely flat, but it's flat enough. Going up, again, pull the lever, back you go. Up, pull the lever, and back you go. And with this car you also have tethering points and some little strappy thing that you can put a bottle in, or I don't know, a small dog. And of course, with this being a Countryman, it means the side pockets are country-sized as well. So you can fit, instead of a packet of crisps like you could in the 3-door, packet of crisps, sandwich, bottle of drink, and a small dog.
And I really like these headrests. However, I do have the question, if you buy it in another country, does it have a different flag upon it?
No, because it's a British car.
But it's not.
But it is.
But it's not.
But it is.
It once was, but it's not anymore.
But the name is Mini. If you ask an American what they drive a British Mini. Because it's Mini from Britain. Am I right?
Fair point, I suppose.
You just can't get the staff.
Do you know there's a 12-volt socket back here?
Yeah, there's one in here too.
Yeah.
And here.
You could perhaps plug your small dog in and charge it.
But wait, there's more. Not only is it a 40-20-40 fold down, but this is a 60-40 slide as well. Put your hand underneath here, pull the lever, and these slide forward. And the same with this one. Like so. Very versatile and very spacious. Oh, but I do have to tell you, this slidey seat option is £300 extra. It's one of those extras that could end up costing you another £10,000–11,000 on top of the standard price. And that brings us on to the price of these cars. Now, the 1.5 version of this car starts at £23,035. If you want the Cooper S version, the petrol version, you're going to pay £25,000. If you want the SD All 4, which is what this is, prices start at £30,000. Then you get onto your options list, and you could end up adding another £11,000 on top of that. So you're looking at a £41,000 car. Now, on reflection, that may initially sound very expensive, but actually, when you look at everything you get in this car, the space you get, all the toys and functions, and there are a lot of them, you know, rear camera, parking sensors, sat-nav, adaptive lights, cruise control, four-wheel drive, space, leather, automatic and manual transmission, flappy paddle gearbox. You've got the S model. You've got everything you could possibly want in this car. That's actually not bad at all. And you're getting a car that has this kind of brand, Mini. It's not a cheap car. It's not a fly-by-night company. They are well established and they are excellently built. They really are very well built cars. So when you put all that into perspective, £41,000 is not a bad price indeed. Oh yeah, and of course, don't forget, they're owned by BMW. Now when it comes to engines for this car, it can get very confusing. You do have the 1.6 and you have the 2-litre petrol, which has 187 brake horsepower, and you have the 2-litre diesel, which has 187 brake horsepower. If it's the turbo but non all-wheel drive, and then the SD all-wheel drive has 140 brake horsepower, but then of course if you don't want all-wheel drive, it's a lot less brake horsepower. No, it's not, it's more brake horsepower. Just go on the website, have a look, because it's very confusing. And they're bringing out a plug-in hybrid. I say bringing out, it's already out, but that is coming up in a future episode. What about insurance? Well, for the Mini 1 basic car, you're looking at Group 12. The average for the 1.5 seems to be around Group 16 to Group 18. And then when you start getting into the S models, you're into Group 20, 21, up to Group 26, and then 30s for the John Cooper Works. It can get a bit expensive on insurance, but for something like this, you're looking around Group 20 or Group 18. It's not very expensive. But again, that's not the main focus of this video. The main focus is size. So what about overall outside size? Well, the Mini 3-door is 1.41 meters high, whereas this 1.55 meters high. The 3-door is 3.8 meters long. This one, 4.3 meters long. The 3-door is 1.7 meters wide, and this one is 1.8 meters wide. Not a lot of difference, but it is slightly wider. So, what's it like to drive? Well, let's do some on and off-road. What you lose in speed and power, you gain in comfortability. It's a much bigger and more comfortable place to be. When I say that, I mean you've got Alcantara or soft bits everywhere, all the sides and the panels of the doors, the roof, even here it's nice and soft and padded. In this car, it's got the added extra of a phone charger in the middle here. Fantastic, that is.
Again, the seats, nice and soft, good, comfortable.
And
seat,
you're
good
definitely
bolsters.
in a higher position. Even though you can adjust the seats up and down, you feel as though you're in a higher position.
It's more of an SUV setting, isn't it?
It does feel like a mini SUV.
Yeah.
And as this car shares a lot of its parts with the BMW X1, you can see where that comes in, because it's definitely got an SUV feel about it.
These pillars are still quite intrusive. They're bigger, but the windscreen's bigger and feels a little closer to us.
Yes, the windscreen's deeper.
Quite, yeah.
And you've got
as bad.
masses of headroom in here,
yeah,
in comparison to the other one.
If I pump my seat right up to the top, you can go pretty high. But still, at maximum, I'm about 6 foot. I've still got about an inch there above my.
This feels weird.
Going down to race you. Oh, mind you, I started before you, so it's not really a fair comparison.
I win.
You did.
You are more of a low down bun than I am.
Thanks, man.
Managed to maintain an exact 30-mile-an-hour speed all through that.
Well done.
Now, with this car being the all-4 version, it means it's got 4-wheel drive. Now, it does also have launch control. You don't really need it, because when you pull away, even in the wet, you don't get any wheel spin. Consumption is saying at the moment 36.3, and it's a far cry from the 50 to 60 odd that they're claiming, especially when, I mean, we're driving very serenely now and we put our foot down on the dual carriageway. We didn't get carried away. It wasn't a lot of speed because it's not a very quick car, but it's certainly not what it says it is. Of course, one thing this does have is the same rear view mirror, and in this car it just feels a little bit too small.
It does, however, still have a really small back window.
It does. So off-road, it handles quite well. It's still a very smooth ride, and I don't feel any problems whatsoever. It's very comfortable, and I'm really actually enjoying the off-road experience. Not bad at all. It does confidently take the bumps and nudges. It's very quiet. There's no knobbles. I'm very well seated in here, and I'm very impressed. I really am. So clearly this handles on-road and off-road pretty well. Now this car is actually fitted with a reversing camera. When you turn the steering wheel, it tells you where you can park. So here, it's giving you guidance like so. So this particular car is fitted with the heads-up display, and you can see it here in front of you, and you can adjust the rotation, the height of it, depending how high you are in the driver's seat, and the brightness, so you can turn it right up as bright as you like, or turn it down for night driving, I assume. It's a very cool piece of kit, but obviously you have to pay extra for that. It's not standard. So this is all controlled once again by the iDrive system, and you can see it all on the heads-up display here. Now you can change the information you want on the heads-up display. You can either have the navigation, cruise control, the speed, or anything to do with the entertainment. Very cool indeed. So like with the other Cooper S, it also has the functions to be able to change your power and have a look at what you're doing whilst you're doing it. So you've got the wheel around the gear lever again. Again, this is the semi-automatic gearbox. Either the green function, the mid or sport mode, and you whack it into sport mode like so, and it brings up the funometer, as Malcolm calls it, and we shall give that a go on the dual carriageway as well. Now with this one we've been able to change it. You could with the other one, but we wanted to keep it in two different modes, so you could have Newton meters, whereas this you can have pounds feet. The big question is this car as fast and as sporty as the 3-door? So we'll bring it round the roundabout here, onto the dual carriageway and floor it. And the answer to that question is no, it isn't. It is still quite spry, but it's not as fast as the 3-door. Not by a long shot. And the difference being, of course, is that this car is the all-4 version and not the two-wheel drive version that we had in the 3-door. So it's a little bit of a different car all round. You do get a bit of road noise in this as well. Now part of it is to do with this road, but it seems that Minis have road noise. Deal with it. Now with this being a diesel, of course it's not going to be as fast as the petrol Cooper S, but you would expect it to be a bit faster than it actually is. So we have answered that very big question. The Countryman is indeed bigger than the 3-door. Now, MPG figures, you're going to be looking, they say on paper, between 50 and 75, but in a realistic world, you're looking more between 25 for the Cooper S petrol, up to about 60 for the diesel Countryman. As I said before, there is a massive range of engines you can go for, and I urge you to go onto the Mini website, build your own and see exactly what you can get, because there is a huge range, and I would bore you to death if I went on all day about the different engines, the different brake horsepowers, the different CO2s and the torque figures. It's boring me even thinking about it. So get on the website, have a look and see what you can come up with. But just bear in mind that when it comes to MPG, anything that they say on the website is not going to be actual on the road figures. You know that already from previous videos, so I won't say any more about that. Whichever you choose, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with Mini at all. And I was so impressed with Mini that I bought one. And that video is coming up very soon, because we're going to pitch my 5-door Mini Cooper against the new Clubman. So pop along to our website, have a look on there. All the links for our social media are also on the website. And until next time, please drive and ride carefully, but have fun. Bye bye.